What's up, Wizrrd here. I got a Zane build guide for you guys today. This build is intended to jumpstart any build that you might decide to make for Zane. Basically, I am bringing this to you if you are a new player to Borderlands 3, or if you're playing Zane for the first time, or maybe if you're returning after a long break. I'm just going to give you the knowledge that I have about the character, explain some of the linchpin skills, some of the game-changing things that you could perhaps build around, just stuff that's important to know that he has available to him. I'm going to start with the most important skill that Zane has. It's critical to know he has it because Zane has a lot of kill skills, and many of them are quite good. They're the kind of skills that you just want on all the time. And using this skill right here, seeing red, when you activate an action skill, all of your kill skills are also activated. It increases the effect of the kill skills as well, but that's not the important part. That's not why you're taking the skill. If you've got all of the content, the purple tree came with a shoulder cannon, and you can have several charges. They cool down pretty quickly, and you don't need to worry about hitting. The cool thing about Zane is that he can equip 2 action skills. So one of them being the shoulder cannon means that you can activate your kill skills anytime. What kill skills do you want to take? I'm here to tell you that the one that I care the absolute most about is this one right here. Salvation. Killing an enemy grants you lifesteal. What this means is that when your kill skills are active, now when you shoot things, you will heal yourself. You more or less do not have to worry about staying alive if you are shooting something. Now, I'm not saying that he's invincible. He's certainly not. Reloads matter a lot, and you can be overwhelmed. Of course, the more powerful your gun is, the more powerful the healing will be. Easy to jump in the skill tree just to get some salvation. You probably want to put all 5 points in salvation. Violent speed. Killing an enemy grants stacking movement speed. Zane can get real zoomy, dude. He wants to be a place, and now he's there. That's just fun. There are a lot of things you can do around violent speed, and the number one is paired with it right here beside it. Violent momentum. While moving, you gain increased gun damage, and the faster you're moving, the greater this bonus. That means that you are getting plus 20% gun damage while you're walking. That's just regular walk speed without any additional speed boost like you would get from violent speed. Good misfortune. Killing an enemy extends your action skill duration. This has diminishing returns. You activate any of the skills with a longer timer and you're using good misfortune and you start popping off kills, they are just going to stay active as long as you are getting kills. Obviously, there is an upper limit of this. If you're in a fight for 10 plus minutes, your skill's probably going to run out, but it's going to last you through almost any pack of enemies. Let's talk about the red tree a little bit. Duct tape mod. It says you become immune to your own damage dealt. That is the important part of this skill. The other part says your first shot after a reload has a chance to throw your equipped grenade. Because you have 2 action skills, you do not have a normal trigger for grenades. The big thing about the skill though is you becoming immune to your own damage. This isn't the only way that Zane has to throw grenades out. I guess I'll go ahead and point out there are 2 other big ways. That is right here, and another is right here. But the important part of duct tape mod is that you become immune to your own damage. When you throw grenades in Borderlands 3, you can take damage from that grenade. You don't have to be careful with your friends. There isn't friendly damage, but you can damage yourself with those grenades. You only need to put 1 point into it to get the damage immunity. Let's talk about this skill here. Killing an enemy stacks your and your clone's health regen and gun damage for a short time. If you have trouble with clone, if clone is dying, this is what you want. Honestly, with this skill, you can just ignore the clone. He's going to be alive in almost every situation. Just don't worry about it. He is there. Without this, that is not necessarily the case. He can die. The thing about the clone, it's not a turret. It functions as a turret to do damage, but there's so much more to the clone that you need to know. When you have the clone out, you can hit that same action skill button again, and it will swap places. It will put you where your clone was, and it will put the clone where you were. There's probably a small cooldown to how quickly you can do this back to back, but you can do it more than once. This skill here makes it even better. When you swap places, it heals the clone for 50%. Now, I don't think you need to worry about that part. It's good, obviously, but it's not something that takes more mental tax when you're playing the character, at least not for me. This is doing the healing for you. The other portion of the skill, though, is when you swap places, it begins your shield recharging. Supersonic Man. Each active action skill increases your movement speed. And while I'm on that train talking about the movement speed, let's talk about this one right here. Fugitive allows you to fire your gun while you are sprinting. The thing about this skill, it obviously pairs well with the other stuff, right? But you really will be moving too fast. I mean, for me, it's not even worth doing because you still have to aim. And if you only have time to get off 3 or 4 bullets before you have run into the enemy, it doesn't really matter if you're sprinting anymore, does it? It is still good, don't get me wrong. It just feels like it's almost over the top for me. It's more speed than I want. We've got Old U, much like Amara's Guardian Angel skill. Old U gives you a way to cheat death. You can hit your action skill button when you're downed if your clone is out, and the clone will blow up and you will revive with 100% health. Trigger the Light is the skill that I mentioned in the Amara video that gives Zane more damage when he's shooting enemies that are not targeting him. It's also extra cryo damage to your Sentinel, which is kind of interesting to see a bonus to a different action skill this far down in the tree. I have highlighted Renegade here just because it's a different source of healing. It gives you a little bit of health regen when you critically hit. Just pointing out that it's here. It's at the top of the tree, so you can snag a few if you feel like you need it. If you're down one of the other trees, of course, I would keep in mind, salvation is a better way to heal. Maybe you're not into the blue tree. Maybe you just can't afford the points and you feel like you need some healing. There it is. Then we've got Deja Vu. And the thing about Deja Vu is, well, is bad. It's just simply bad because of all the requirements placed upon it, and then you get a minimal return. What it does is killing an enemy with a critical hit has a chance to instantly reload 1 ammo into your gun. I'm going to go ahead and max out the points here so that we can see that it will give you a 45% chance to put 1 ammo back in your gun when you critically hit. Even if you don't miss a single shot, if every one of your shots is a critical hit, you are still going to have to reload your gun. Why is it 45%, dude? I just don't get it. And then we've got Tunnel Vision, which I don't know why I didn't talk about with the movement speed boost skills and Violent Momentum. Tunnel Vision is a similar effect. While you're moving, you gain increased accuracy and handling, and the faster you move, the greater the bonus. It seems like an auto include when you're doing the GoFast Zane builds. The problem is, accuracy in this game, think about using a shotgun. Imagine the circle it gives you. If you have increased accuracy, that circle will be smaller. So there is a certain amount of accuracy that will bring it down to a pinpoint. The thing that's really weird about Borderlands is if you get more accuracy past that point, the circle starts to grow again. Effectively, this makes it so if you're moving certain speeds, you have laser point accuracy. But if you're moving faster than that, now you have destroyed the whole reason why you took the skill and maybe made your accuracy worse. If you're sprinting and you got both of these active, you probably made your accuracy worse than it was to begin with. Now, handling is a little bit different, but honestly, I literally can't tell what handling is doing. I'm not saying that it's not doing something, but I've had guns with really bad handling and I've had guns with really good handling and I can't tell the difference. I just don't care about it. I would tell you to dodge this skill, but there it is. Just so you know, if you do feel like you need more accuracy and more handling for whatever reason, there it is. The Art of War. Activating an action skill or action skill ability, which I believe refers to things like swapping with the clone. There's, I think, some augments that you can put on the Sentinel that will allow you to tell it to target a specific enemy. Those kind of things. That's what it means by action skill ability. But anyway, activating action skill and action skill abilities stacks up gun damage. Your next shot consumes all stacks, so it can stack up to 10 times. And if you put 5 points into the skill, then you're getting 15% gun damage per stack. That is 150 extra gun damage. It functions so well with the shoulder cannon. When you are running from one area to another, just keep firing the shoulder cannon. For one, if you use the shoulder cannon and you activate all your kill skills using Seeing Dead, now you are getting to the next zone faster. So you want to be doing it anyway, but then you're stacking the gun damage. Then we have Eraser. This skill allows you to line up your shots. It gives you and your clone, which is cool for the clone, but you really, how are you gonna, anyway, if you line up a shot and shoot an enemy, your shot will pierce and the second enemy will take more damage. We're gonna talk about the green tree now. Start with this one. Taking damage causes you to develop resistance to that type of damage, up to 19%. The genius in the combination of these two skills is that this one will give you a kill skill that allows you to convert elemental damage you take into physical damage for a short time. It also gives you 18% physical resistance. These two together make it so all the damage that you are taking is physical, and you will have a 37.5% resistance to physical damage. This also combos well with this skill. This one gives you the ability to reduce the duration of elemental status effects applied to you by 100%. Essentially, these three skills make it so Zane doesn't even know what elemental damage is, at least when he's taking it himself. The damage resistance is not going to make you immortal. you still can certainly be overwhelmed, but it is enough to notice a difference. Let's talk about Brain Freeze next. This gives you the ability to slow enemies when you crit them. It also causes you to freeze them if you crit them several times in a row. It's always good to freeze enemies. You can combo this with this skill here, Refreshment, which will allow you to heal yourself when you damage frozen enemies. The thing about this skill though, I actually don't think it's that good. Typically when you freeze an enemy, you can leave them. They'll be fine. If you're using the Sentinel or the Clone, frozen people will die on their own. And you don't really need the healing. There is better healing right here with Salvation. I would even say the health regen from Renegade. I'm not telling you not to take it, but just consider a few things. This is what I would refer to as a win more skill. Any skill in the game you can look at through a lens of when does it help you. And this particular skill only helps you when you're already winning. What you want your skill to do is help you when you are losing. Just think twice about it. It sounds better than it is. And in the vein of sounding better than it is, let's talk about the other green skill here. This one I would actually say is good. It's called Calm, Cool, and Collected. Freezing an enemy starts your shield recharge. If your shield is full, you gain health regeneration for a short time. If your health is full, your skill cooldown or duration resets. This skill looks a little bit better than it actually is. The duration is 3 seconds, and the health regen is you're getting 3% per second. You can only put 1 point in this skill, so that means that you're getting 9% of your health back. But where it really becomes good, when you actually have full health and full shields, when your skill cooldown or duration is reset, specifically duration. That's really good, man. Thing is, you kind of get that same effect right here. Sure, these are deep into two different trees. Really what I'm telling you is, if you're not going down the blue tree, you might want that. Surprisingly, no one more than myself. We've talked about all of the skills here, except for the capstones of each tree. Some of them are very underwhelming. Specifically, these two and this one. They are good. I would say if you've got enough points in the tree, they're decent bonuses. And they do lean you more in the direction of what the tree does anyway. This one gives you a bonus of 25% damage, which is good. This damage is specifically only when you're aiming down sights. It also causes your critical hits to apply the status effect of your gun. I don't want you to think that I'm saying the skill is bad. It's absolutely not. I'm just saying it's not what I want to see on a capstone. It's kind of the same thing here with Death Follows Close. Increase the effect and duration of your kill skills. So this gives you kill skill bonus of plus 25%. That means that the effect the kill skill gives you is increased. For instance, Violent Speed, once again, is killing an enemy grants stacking movement speed for a short time. If we put 5 points into Violent Speed, we're getting 20% movement speed. If we also have this skill, we're now getting 25% more, the bonus in this case being 20% movement speed. 25% of 20 is 5, so now we are getting 25% movement speed. It does this to each of your kill skills. It's on par almost with this one, but this one's a real game changer. We'll get there in a minute. It also increases the kill skill duration. The less you have to spam shoulder cannon, the less tedious it'll start to feel doing it. It's really better when you're not doing the shoulder cannon thing because of the extra duration. Confident Competence. While your shield is active, you gain increased gun damage and accuracy. The fuller your shield, the greater this bonus. This skill is actually bad. If you're going to take this skill, use the barrier, because the barrier will give you an extra step to keep you in health. But this also can work okay with a sniper. The problem is the 35% damage bonus, while good, it's not high enough to be truly game changing. And the key point here is the fuller your shield, the greater this bonus. That means when your shield is full, it is giving you 35%. If your shield is fully depleted, then it is giving you 0 bonus. Any skill that gives you an amount of a bonus equal to something that's remaining, like health or shield, is just less good than it sounds. So let's talk about the final skill for Zane, the double barrel. This gives your clone a copy of the gun that you are holding, and that is so huge, dude. This is, I think, the second most impactful skill that Zane has across all of his skill trees. You can give him your best gun. You can give him a plasma coil. You can give him something that you wouldn't give yourself. You can give him something that potentially freezes enemies. And that's not all that double barrel does. Double barrel also makes it so when you switch places with your clone, you increase your clone's gun damage. While I'm a little sad to not see the capstones of the other trees live quite up to this power, this one's close, honestly. but it's not a game changer. It just makes everything that you're already doing in the blue tree easier, which also affects the kill skills from other trees, by the way. But this skill right here, man, pretty much if you're using the clone, you probably want to go all the way down the red tree. A quick recap: if you want to do a GoFast build, you're going to want to look right here. Violent speed, you're also going to want violent momentum. You're also going to want this one here, Supersonic Man. You might want Fugitive. These are the major movement speed bonuses. You increase your potential with violent momentum. If you're going to do a kill skill build, you're definitely going to want Seeing Red. In general, I would say if you want to play a sniper with Zane, you probably want to go all the way down the purple tree. The green tree, I hate to say it, but I feel it's a little weaker than the others, but it focuses more on survivability. Also worth remembering the things that can keep you alive, and those are most notably Salvation. This skill, which will let you trade your clone's life for your own. You got Renegade, can give you some health regen, and you got Refreshment, giving you some life steal on frozen enemies. Alright, we're jumping into the first build that I have for you for Zane. I would call this the 3 Fast 5U build. It's the way that I would prefer to play Zane. I'm going to start with the action skills first. We're going to use the clone primarily, and we're also going to use the Sentinel. You don't have to respec to switch these. I highly recommend you try each thing available to you. With any build that you make, try them out, come to your own conclusions. It's a little easier to do that than it is to respec all the time. You can do it on the fly anywhere you go. The way I would do it, Digiclone, binary system, which gives you the ability to create a Cryonova on you and your clone when you swap places with them. Which one's real? Activating Digiclone or swapping places makes enemies more likely to target the clone for a few seconds, which can help for this skill right here if you're playing by yourself, which gives you more damage to enemies that aren't targeting you. With Sentinel, I would use Hunter's Drone converts the Sentinel shots into cryo damage. Bad Dose will deal radiation damage to some of your enemies and also buff your fire rate and movement speed. Really, it's all about kill skills. So Seeing Red, as mentioned earlier, critical, absolutely critical. Violent Speed and Supersonic Man. When I enter a fight, I would drop both of these action skills. I would drop this one immediately, and then I would run into the middle of the battle. Then I would drop the clone. Then you just start zooming around. It's going to take time for you to get used to dodging the things in the environment while also shooting enemies around the battlefield. And when you're doing that, you're going to be getting a bunch of extra damage because of all that movement speed. Of course, Salvation will give you the ability to heal yourself as you're doing that, but really, the faster you move in Borderlands, the safer you are. And the red tree, all about giving the clone a copy of your gun. This is also going to buff the clone's damage. You use some of your grenades to do that. I do recommend some sort of cryo grenade. Any cryo grenade you can find will work, but I would prefer ones that hit the largest possible area. The flashier, the better. You're going to be immune to your own damage. Your friends are already immune to your grenades. That's going to make the battlefield total chaos, and it's going to make you feel like a god. This one makes your action skills last longer for each one that's active, and this one gives you a gun damage boost for each active action skill you have. You have this one, which is a kill skill, which gives you the ability to generate grenades. This skill will fire grenades sometimes, whether you have grenades or not. This one, however, does not fire free grenades, but really it's more about making sure that when you throw clone, you do have some grenades. Honestly, part of the reason I put them here is because it's a kill skill. If you were going to cut something, this is absolutely what I would cut. I would probably put them here instead if I was going to cut that. Then finally, in the purple tree, it's really about these two skills. This one giving you extra gun damage. These up here, you just have to get through. It's going to be largely a matter of taste. What I want you to do, if you're taking this build, is take this and try it. If you feel like it's too fast, if you feel like you're not getting the optimal effect from sprinting and firing at the same time, go back and respec. Don't worry about the cost. The amount of money that you lose respecing one time is absolutely nothing compared to the fun that you could have with a better build. Once you do that, if you do respec, then take this point straight out of there, and I would put it right here. The important things to remember is start a fight with your action skills, Sentinel first, and then get your clone into a good position. It doesn't have to be a great position. Make sure he's not behind a wall, for instance. Remember that you can equip a gun that you want your clone to have and throw him out and then swap to a different gun. And then the most important thing is to just keep running. Never stop running. The faster you're going, the more damage you're doing. But cater it to the way that you play. Move as fast as you can comfortably hit enemies. Dial it back just enough. Now, the best Zane player out there will be able to handle the speed of sprinting and shooting at the same time. Let's talk about the order that I would take these skills as I leveled up. I would start by taking Violent Speed. I would probably put 2 or 3 points into it, and then I would put 2 or 3, depending on how many you put here, into Violent Momentum. That'll get you enough to get down here. And then I would take Salvation, probably all the way to max, then put a point into Seeing Red. Then your options open up a little bit. I would probably go ahead and cap these two out, but you don't have to do that. If you prefer, you can start making your way down the red tree. The order that you take the skills in the red tree is somewhat less important. Always take the lowest down skill you can as you progress. Personally, I would go 5 here, 1 there, 4 here, and then 1 here. Once you get this to 3, if you're playing solo, that's when I would probably start to consider going down the blue tree more. But it could also be beneficial to go all the way down. Maybe complete the red tree at least till you get the capstone. There are a few points here past what is needed to get to the capstone. I would save those for the end. And once you get the capstone, or at least to Supersonic Man, then I would complete the blue tree. Once you get to this point, you'll be pretty late in the game if you've gone all the way down both of these trees. It's not that critical. You put points where you want. Not that big of a deal. All the points do matter for the build, but they matter less. And here's one more quick look at the action skills and augments that I would choose. This build is a sniper focused build. The action skills are the barrier, and I would use the augments. Nanites or Sunshine will give you and your allies near the barrier reload speed and shield recharge delay improvement, as well as health regen. All-rounder will take the deployed barrier from a in front of you see-through wall thing into a ball dome around Zane. It's overall bigger. It's a good thing to know that you can pick up the barrier. You will be able to carry it around with you as Zane. This does diminish the effectiveness of its damage boost when you shoot through it, but it's still good. You can also throw it back down again later. And then I will be using the shoulder cannon with this build. It's not about the damage the shoulder cannon does, because it's honestly pretty weak. Don't worry about it if you miss. It's more about the benefits that you gain from using an action skill. And the augments that I would use with it are Cold Shoulder will convert the Mantis shoulder cannon into cryo damage. It does reduce the damage a little bit, but again, the damage does not matter that much. It also increases your cryo efficiency, which can matter a lot. I would prefer ice guns with this build. If you can find a good strong ice sniper, that's amazing. Proliferation will give you more charges. It'll also increase the Mantis shoulder cannon's damage, but again, it's more about the charges. You just want to make sure that you've got a way to give yourself kill skills, but just like the other build, play around with the augments. You can even play around with which action skill you use if you want to, but I would strongly recommend you using the cannon at the very least with this build. So what we have going on here, you will see some of it is similar to the previous build, and that's just because the blue tree is insane on Zane. Salvation, obviously, great way to heal yourself. Not that critical for this build. That's why I've only put 4 points in, because if you're sniping, you're probably not going to need healing as much. There's not that many places in Borderlands 3 where you're going to be sniping from extreme long range, but you can play long range no problem. And if you're playing co-op, your friends can be way ahead and really keeping the enemies off of you. The reload speed, obviously really good. The snipers have some of the longer reload. Seen Dad, I've been over it again and again, but you know, use an action skill, you get your kill skills. It's major. Now we haven't taken the one that gives you increased fire rate, because that's just less important if you're trying to make precision long range shots. The Playing Dirty skill gives you a chance for an extra shot to fire with your shots. And these are the same as the other. They just make your action skills last longer and make your kill skills last longer and have a greater effect. I did put some points into Cold Bore. This skill is going to have different levels of effectiveness depending on you and how often you like switching your guns. So what it does is increases your weapon swap speed, and swapping weapons adds cryo damage to your next shot. I would say if you're playing a hard snipe build, swap the gun before you fire, at least before you fire on a new enemy. If you are initiating combat, meaning that the enemies are not alerted to your presence yet, absolutely swap your gun first. But once the heat of battle is raging, it's not as important to swap it all the time. The way that cryo works, when you deal a certain amount of ice damage to an enemy in a certain amount of time, then they will become frozen. That threshold can be affected by your cryo efficiency. We've dipped into the green tree just enough to get brain freeze, also to unlock the 2 augments that I would prefer onto the barrier. I put points into ready for action to get down there because it increases your shield recharge rate and your shield recharge delay. The important part about going into the green tree is brain freeze. Then we've gone into the red tree just a little bit. We want to get immune to our own grenades, but that's not actually the reason we took the skill this time. What you're going to want to do is you're going to want to find a cryo longbow grenade. Any type of cryo longbow grenade, it doesn't matter what other effects it has, because this has a chance to fire after you've reloaded. It has a chance to shoot a grenade with it. The longbow grenades basically teleport to the enemy that you're targeting. So even at long range, you can longbow a grenade in, and if it's ice and you're shooting with an ice gun, this is all just stacking up to make the possibility of you freezing that enemy all the more high. Now to get there, I would take borrowed time because it increases your action skill duration. And what this benefits is the shield. The barrier itself gives you amp damage when you shoot through it. So you want to keep that bonus as long as you can. Now let's talk about the purple tree just a little bit. More gun damage. We take more crit damage when we've getting kill skills. Then we're stacking up damage for our crits by using the shoulder cannon. Outside of battle, you're going to want to be firing the shoulder cannon until this skill. You need to watch for this down below your experience for this icon, and it will stack up to 10. Once it's at 10, when you're out of combat, you don't have to worry about using the shoulder cannon, but you do want to use the shoulder cannon again when you're entering combat, as well as drop the shield in the operative place, but don't drop the shield until you have your target ready that you want to snipe, if the combat has not initiated yet anyway. Of course, if you need cover, the shield's always there. Then we're increasing our fire rate and reload speed. And then finally here we've got our man Flint giving us just extra gun damage and applying our status effect. So when you snipe, ideally, you will have 10 stacks of this built up. You'll get the bonus from this, and it's going to apply its cryo effect. You're going to have used the shoulder cannon, so you've got crit damage, extra damage here on the optimal situation again. Throwing a longbow cryo grenade. Shoulder cannon can be fired at the same time as your gun. And if you get the critical hit, the chance of you freezing somebody is through the roof. Even more so if you hit them with 2 bullets that both applied the status effect. So that's pretty much all you need to know about this build. The way that I would play it, if it's not already clear, I would find a good spot when the option is available to you to find a spot first. I would throw down the barrier. I would figure out my target. I wouldn't just figure out the one target though. I would also think about the next. Now this all is somewhat easy to do if you are playing solo, but when you are playing co-op with a friend, it can be harder to plot out things. Your friend is not going to wait. They're going to run in and they're going to do their thing. If that's the case, it's okay. It just means that every spot is fine as long as you can see the enemy, because your friend is going to be drawing the fire. There is also a version of the build that drops some of the blue tree. I would take down to here either way, but you could drop some of the blue tree, these here, if you truly wanted to. You could even drop this if you had to. If you did that, you could come into here. If you're doing co-op, maybe the build's not working quite so well, but you do still want to be sniping. Drop your clone in the spot that you want to snipe instead of the barrier. Drop the clone instead. Run in with your friend, and then when things get hot, swap places with your clone. Either way you do this build, as is, or doing it the way I'm explaining now, you're going to want to keep a sniper or 2 equipped, and you're going to want to keep some other shorter range weapon equipped that you're ready to switch to at a moment's notice, just in case. Preferably still cryo. Maybe keep like 1 other gun just in case something's resistant to ice. The order that I would take these skills, definitely these 2 first, then sure, put 3 here. Then you want to grab this if you need more healing more often. If you're hurting with your reloads, that's fine too. It doesn't matter. The point is you want to get seeing red. Once you get seeing red, we're going down the purple tree, wherever you want. Just go all the way down, get that capstone. Once you've got the capstone, or at any point once you've found a cryo longbow grenade, it's very important that it's both of those things. Longbow more important though than the cryo. Go ahead and put points into the red tree. It might be even worth respecing and go ahead and getting a point in this. If you get the capstone first, then put these points here. Or if you do that somewhere in the middle of the purple tree, then go ahead and get the capstone as well. I would probably put points here next. Get this maxed out because it's going to be the most effective for your sniping. Then I would go into the green tree. Grab this and grab this. Go ahead and max them out. Once you have that, finish up the blue tree, and there you have it. That's the way that I would do this build. And here's another quick look at the skills. If I made the swap, this is how I would do it. So if you wanted to play that way, where you're using the clone instead of the barrier, find your spot to snipe from, throw the clone down, run in with your friend, swap places with your clone. Absolutely make sure that you have a fast fire rate cryo gun. And then you're going to want to switch to a cryo sniper and play just the same way that I was talking about before. Now I'm going to talk about the order that I would take skills if I was leveling up Zane into this build. I would start with the blue tree. This skill is going to feel very not impactful. It's going to feel very weak and generally not good. In fact, early on, I would maybe take this instead. And then when you've got more points, respec into this because it'll be more helpful later. And this will be more fun and active feeling right away. Then I would grab Salvation and a point into Full Hands so that you can get Seeing Red. And then I would save the rest of this tree for probably the very end. I would maybe keep a point into Violent Speed instead of 5 here. The only reason why I'm leaning towards 5 here is because it's cryo. But the thing about Violent Speed is it's fun, move faster, but it's also a very impossible to ignore indication that your kill skills have run out. So when you stop moving fast, you know you need to shoulder cannon again. You can always watch the cooldowns. It's easy to tell the kill skills are up, but sometimes you can forget in the heat of the moment to be looking for that. But after getting Seeing Red, I would go into the purple tree here first. And if you're pure sniper, take the critical damage first. These are all great and good for the build, so it doesn't matter that much which order you take them. And then once you have that capstone, I would come into the red tree. I would go down here first, then here, then here, and then here, and then fill in here until you're able to get this, max this out, get double barrel to give the clone another cryo gun. And there's only enough points here to get there anyway. And then I would finish up the blue tree. If I was going to swap to the red tree, then you're going to have the clone here, and you're going to want to put binary system on it. The other augments that are available in the orange tree, they're not bad, but they're not particularly beneficial to a sniper build. Now, if you have any questions about this build, anything to do with Borderlands at all, I'm happy to answer them in the comments down below. If you'd like to see Moze or Flak, let me know in the comments. Thanks for being here. Hope you guys enjoyed it. Hope that it helps you out. If you make a build using this guide, please let me know in the comments. That would be totally awesome, dude. If I missed anything, let me know in the comments as well. Not just for me, but also for the other people viewing. And until next time, I hope that you have a totally rad time out there in the Borderlands. Likes are appreciated. Subs are appreciated even more. And I'll see y'all next time. Wizrrd Out.